The silver fork slipped from Sofia's trembling fingers, clattering against the marble floor of Il Palazzo. Every head in the back room turned. Every conversation stopped. The kind of silence that swallowed sound whole and left nothing but the hammering of her pulse in her ears. Matteo Corvini stood 6 feet away, cigar smoke curling around his jaw like a threat. His eyes locked on her dark, unblinking, predator-sharp. The tattoo on his neck seemed to pulse under the dim yellow light, a serpent coiled and ready to strike. "You," he said, voice smooth as whiskey but twice as dangerous. Sofia's knees locked. Her uniform cheap blue polyester, white apron stained from a 12-hour shift suddenly felt like a costume. Like she was pretending to be invisible when everyone could see right through her. The men in suits behind Matteo exchanged glances. One smirked. Another adjusted his cufflinks, waiting for the show. Matteo took a step closer. His cologne hit her first expensive, suffocating. Then his presence, heavy as gravity. "I've been watching you," he said. Her breath caught. Not a compliment, a warning. He gestured to the corner table, where a chessboard sat under a single hanging bulb. Black and white pieces gleamed like tiny soldiers awaiting orders. "You play?" Sofia's mouth went dry. She'd scrubbed floors, refilled glasses, endured wandering hands, and cruel jokes for 3 months in this place. But this was different. If you enjoyed this story and want to see what happens next, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps these stories coming. Chess wasn't just a game here. It was a test, a judgment, a sentence. I know the rules," she whispered. Matteo's grin spread slow, like blood seeping through bandages. "Good." He snapped his fingers. 2 men dragged chairs to the table. The chessboard waited, patient and merciless. Sofia's heart screamed at her to run, but her feet carried her forward anyway. What happens when a genius hides behind silence? The chair scraped against the floor as Sofia sat down. Matteo settled across from her, rolling up his sleeves like he was preparing for surgery. His rings caught the light gold, thick, engraved with symbols she didn't recognize but instinctively feared. "White or black?" he asked, already knowing the answer. "White." Her voice barely made it past her lips. He laughed, low and sharp. Ambitious. She wasn't, but saying no would have been worse. The pieces stood between them like a miniature battlefield. Sofia's fingers hovered over a pawn, hesitating. Behind Matteo, his crew leaned against the bar, drinks in hand. Watching like this was pay-per-view. One of them whispered something. Another chuckled. Matteo didn't look back. He didn't need to. His authority filled the room without effort, without noise. Just presence. "Clock's ticking. Sweetheart," he said, tapping his Rolex. Sofia moved her pawn forward. E4. Standard opening. Safe. Matteo mirrored it instantly. E5. His move came so fast it felt like mockery. She swallowed hard, scanning the board. Her mind started to shift, fragments of memory surfacing. Late nights in her grandmother's kitchen. The old wooden set with chipped paint. The lessons whispered in Spanish. Patience woven into every word. "Think 3 moves ahead, Mija. Always 3. Sofia moved her knight. Matteo countered with his bishop, aggressive and dismissive. He leaned back, cigar smoke trailing from his lips, like a dragon savoring prey. "You sure you know what you're doing?" he asked. She didn't answer. Couldn't. Her pulse thundered too loud. But something shifted in her chest. Not courage, survival. The same instinct that kept her head down, her voice quiet, her existence small enough to slip through cracks. Only this time, she wasn't hiding. She moved her queen forward 1 square, subtle but deliberate. Matteo's eyes narrowed. For the first time tonight, he didn't move immediately. 15 minutes passed in brutal silence. The restaurant faded into background noise, clinking dishes, muffled laughter, the hiss of espresso machines. None of it mattered. Not anymore. Sofia's hand hovered over her bishop. She could feel Matteo's stare burning through her skin, dissecting every flicker of doubt, every hesitation. He wanted her to crack. Expected it. She moved the bishop diagonally, clearing a path for her rook. Matteo blinked. Once. Twice. Then he leaned forward, elbows on the table, studying the board like it had personally betrayed him. His jaw tightened. The muscles in his neck flexed, the serpent tattoo rippling as if alive. Interesting, he muttered. One of his men stepped closer, peering over Matteo's shoulder. Boss, you good? Matteo waved him off without looking. Get back. The man retreated instantly. Sofia forced herself to breathe normally. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Keep your face blank. Keep your hands still. Matteo sacrificed a pawn, pushing it forward like bait. She didn't take it. Instead, she moved her knight into position, creating a fork that threatened both his rook and bishop, a move most people wouldn't see until it was too late. Matteo saw it. His eyes snapped up to hers, and for a split second, something flickered across his face. Not anger, not amusement, respect, or maybe surprise. She couldn't tell, didn't dare hope. Who taught you? He asked, voice quieter now, edges softer. My grandmother. She any good? She never lost. Matteo's lips twitched, almost a smile. Almost. That so? Sofia nodded, keeping her gaze steady even though everything inside her screamed to look away. He moved his king to safety, deliberate and cautious. The game wasn't over. Not even close. But something had changed. The men behind Matteo whispered among themselves, confused, curious. And Sofia realized with cold clarity she wasn't supposed to last this long. Sweat beaded along Matteo's temple. He wiped it away quickly, casually, like it meant nothing. But Sofia saw it. Saw the way his fingers tightened around his cigar, the way his breathing had shifted from relaxed to measured. He was rattled. She moved her queen again, this time to the center of the board. A bold, reckless position that left her exposed on three sides. Matteo stared at it, confused. You just hung your queen. Did I? His eyes darted across the board, searching for the trap. Because there had to be a trap. No one in their right mind left their queen vulnerable unless they saw something he didn't. The seconds stretched. His crew shifted uncomfortably behind him, sensing the tension, feeding off it. One of them cleared his throat. Boss, maybe... Shut up. The words came out flat, final. The man clamped his mouth shut. Sofia sat perfectly still, hands folded in her lap, watching Matteo's mind work. She could almost see the gears turning, the calculations racing, the pride battling against logic. He reached for her queen, fingers hovering over the piece, then stopped, pulled back, moved his knight instead, retreating to defense. Sofia allowed herself the smallest exhale. He'd seen it, not the whole picture, but enough to know taking her queen would have cost him the game in 4 moves. She advanced a pawn. Simple. Quiet. Matteo's jaw clenched. You're playing with me. I'm playing chess. Same thing. Is it? His eyes flashed anger, admiration, something dangerous she couldn't name. He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, studying her like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. What's your name? He asked. Sofia. Sofia what? Marin. He repeated it slowly, tasting each syllable. Sofia Marin. The way he said it sent ice down her spine. Because now, she wasn't invisible anymore. Now she was a name he'd remember. An hour had passed. Maybe 2. Time stopped meaning anything. The other waitstaff had gathered by the kitchen door, peeking through the small window, whispering frantically. Maria, the head server, crossed herself. Twice. No one beat Matteo Corvini. Not at chess. Not at anything. But Sofia wasn't just holding her ground, she was winning. Matteo's pieces littered the side of the board like casualties of war. His rook's gone. 1 bishop. 3 pawns. His queen still standing, but barely. Sofia's army remained mostly intact, circling his king like wolves. Matteo dragged a hand through his hair, messing up the perfect slick-back style. His shirt collar hung open now, tie loosened, face flushed. He looked human, vulnerable, mortal. You're better than good, he said, voice rough. Thank you. That wasn't a compliment. Sofia's lips almost curved into a smile. Almost. I know. Matteo moved his king 1 square to the left, buying time he didn't have. Sofia moved her rook into position. The trap tightened. His remaining bishop couldn't block. His queen couldn't reach. His king had nowhere left to run. The restaurant had gone completely silent now. Even the kitchen stopped clattering. Everyone watched, holding their breath, waiting for the impossible. Matteo stared at the board for a long, agonizing moment. Then he looked at her. Really looked. Not at a waitress. Not at a nobody. At an equal. Checkmate, Sofia whispered. The word landed like a gunshot. Matteo didn't move, didn't speak, just sat there, frozen, staring at the board like it might rearrange itself if he waited long enough. Behind him, his crew exchanged panicked glances. One of them started to speak. "Everyone out," Matteo said quietly. They hesitated. Now, they scattered like roaches when the lights flipped on. And suddenly, Sofia was alone with the most dangerous man in Brooklyn. Matteo's hand slammed down on the table. The chess pieces jumped. Some toppled over. The white king rolled across the board and stopped at the edge, teetering. Sofia didn't flinch. "You cheated," he said, voice low and lethal. "I didn't. Nobody beats me. Nobody. I just did." His eyes turned to coal black, burning, ready to ignite everything around them. The veins in his neck stood out like cords pulled too tight. His rings glinted as his fists clenched, knuckles going white. Sofia's heart hammered against her ribs, but she kept her face smooth. Empty, gave him nothing to grab onto. "Say it again," Matteo demanded, leaning forward until she could smell the cigar on his breath. "Say you beat me." "I beat you." The silence that followed felt like standing on train tracks, hearing the whistle in the distance, knowing the collision was coming but unable to move. Then Matteo laughed. Not a friendly sound, not relief. Something sharper, colder, like glass breaking in slow motion. "You got guts, Sofia Marin," he said, shaking his head. "Stupid, reckless guts." She didn't respond, didn't trust her voice not to shake. Matteo stood abruptly, chair scraping backward. He paced to the bar, poured himself 2 fingers of whiskey, downed it in one swallow. Poured another. "You know what happens to people who embarrass me?" he asked, back still turned. "No, they disappear." The words hung in the air like smoke. Sofia's throat tightened. Her fingers gripped the edge of her apron, the only sign she was terrified. Matteo turned around, glass in hand, studying her with the intensity of someone deciding whether to buy something or burn it down. "But you," he said slowly, "you're different." "How?" "You made me think." He drained the second glass, set it down hard. "Tomorrow night. Same time. We play again." It wasn't a question. It was an order. The next 3 weeks became a nightmare dressed as routine. Every night, same table, same chessboard, same dangerous man who couldn't accept what she'd done. But Matteo didn't just want rematches. He wanted humiliation. Sofia arrived for her shift on a Friday to find him waiting with 6 of his crew, all grinning like hyenas. They'd set up the board in the middle of the dining room floor, under the chandelier, where everyone could watch. "Sit," Matteo commanded. She sat. He beat her in 12 moves. Fast, brutal, efficient. Then stood up and announced to the entire restaurant, "See? Luck runs out." The crowd clapped nervously. Sofia kept her eyes down, cheeks burning. But 2 nights later, she beat him again. Different strategy. Same result. Matteo threw his chair across the room. The following week, he brought in Dominic Hayes, a former chess champion who played in Central Park for money. Matteo paid him $2,000 to destroy Sofia in front of everyone. Dominic lasted 40 minutes. Sofia won. Matteo's face turned the color of raw meat. He didn't speak to her for 3 days, but his eyes followed her everywhere, tracking, measuring, calculating. Then came the kitchen incident. Sofia was washing dishes, hands deep in soapy water, when the back door slammed open. Matteo stormed in, alone, no crew, no audience. He cornered her by the industrial sink. "Who are you?" he demanded. "A waitress." "Don't lie to me." "I'm not. Waitresses don't play like that. Waitresses don't think like that." Sofia turned off the water, dried her hands slowly, bought herself time to breathe. "You want the truth?" she asked. "Yes. You underestimated me." That's all. Matteo's jaw worked like he was chewing glass. Nobody underestimates me twice. Then maybe you should stop assuming you're the smartest person in every room. The words left her mouth before she could stop them. Matteo stepped closer. Sofia's back hit the wall. You think you know me? Matteo whispered, inches from her face. Sofia's pulse roared in her ears, but she held his gaze. I know you hate losing more than you like winning. His eyes flickered. Something shifted behind them. Recognition, maybe, or anger. Hard to tell. You're dangerous, he said finally. So are you. Yeah, but I'm supposed to be. And I'm not? Matteo pulled back slightly, creating space but not distance. His expression changed, less predator, more curious. Like he was seeing her for the first time and couldn't decide if she was a threat or an opportunity. Why do you work here? He asked. Because I need money. For what? My grandmother. Medical bills. Truth. Simple. Devastating. Matteo blinked. How much? Doesn't matter. It does if I'm asking. Sofia shook her head. I don't want your money. Everyone wants my money. I'm not everyone. The corner of his mouth twitched. Not quite a smile. Not quite respect. Something in between. No, he said quietly. You're really not. He stepped back, giving her room to breathe. Ran a hand through his hair, exhaled hard. One more game, he said. Next Friday. You win, I leave you alone. I win, you tell me everything. Everything what? How you think. How you see the board. How you beat me. Sofia considered this. And if I say no? You won't. He was right. She wouldn't. Couldn't. Because somewhere between the chess matches and the confrontations, something had shifted. She'd stopped being invisible. Stopped being safe. And Matteo Corvini, the man who terrified everyone, couldn't stop trying to figure her out. Friday, Sofia agreed. Matteo nodded once, then walked toward the door. Paused. Looked back. Your grandmother taught you well, he said. Then he was gone. Sofia slid down the wall, legs giving out, hands shaking. Friday came faster than she wanted. But this time, everything was about to change. The restaurant was closed when Sofia arrived Friday night. Empty tables. Dark corners. Just the chessboard under a single light, waiting like a trap. Matteo sat alone. No crew. No witnesses. He looked different, tired, maybe, or something else she couldn't name. You came, he said. You knew I would. She sat down. The pieces were already arranged. White for him this time. Advantage his. They played in silence. No trash talk. No threats. Just two minds locked in combat. Searching for weaknesses, finding none. 20 moves in. Sofia realized something was wrong. Matteo wasn't trying to win. He was trying to learn. Every sacrifice he made, every aggressive push, he watched her response like a student taking notes. Like he was mapping her brain, understanding how she processed the world. It should have been flattering. Instead, it felt invasive. Stop, Sofia said suddenly. Matteo looked up, confused. What? You're not playing anymore. You're studying me. Is that a problem? It feels like one. He leaned back, arms crossed. You fascinate me, Sofia. You walk into my world, beat me at my own game, and act like it's nothing, like you didn't just do the impossible. It's just chess. It's never just chess. Before she could respond, Matteo's phone buzzed. Once, twice, 3 times. He glanced at the screen, his face drained of color. What? Sofia asked. My accountant just emptied my accounts. 3 million. Gone. The words came out flat, disbelieving. Sofia's stomach dropped. When? 20 minutes ago. While I was sitting here playing chess with you. His eyes snapped to hers, and for the first time, she saw something worse than anger. Suspicion. Where were you an hour ago? He asked slowly, getting ready to come here. Can you prove it? The question hit like a slap. You think I don't know what to think anymore. Sofia stood abruptly, chair clattering backward. I didn't steal from you, she said, voice shaking with anger now, not fear. Matteo rose too, towering over her. Then who did? How would I know? I'm just a waitress, remember? A waitress who's too smart for her own good. A waitress you've been harassing for a month because you can't handle losing. They stood there, breathing hard, the chessboard forgotten between them. Matteo's phone buzzed again. He answered without breaking eye contact. What? When? How? His expression shifted confusion, then realization, then something that looked almost like regret. You're sure? He hung up. My security guy traced the transfer. It came from inside my own office. Someone I trusted. Sofia crossed her arms. So not me. No, not you. The admission came out grudging, uncomfortable. Matteo sank back into his chair, suddenly looking older, tired, human in a way she'd never seen before. I built everything on fear, he said quietly. Made people respect me because they were terrified. Thought that was enough. Sofia sat down slowly, keeping the table between them. And now? She asked. Now I know fear doesn't buy loyalty, just performance. They sat in silence for a long moment. The restaurant felt different now, smaller, quieter, less like a battlefield. You taught me something, Matteo said finally. What? That being the loudest, scariest person in the room doesn't make you the smartest. It just makes you loud. Sofia allowed herself a small smile. Your grandmother could have told you that for free. Matteo actually laughed. Real this time. Brief, but genuine. I think I would have liked her. She would have crushed you at chess. Yeah, probably. Sofia stood, smoothing her uniform. I should go. Sofia. She paused at the door. Thank you, Matteo said. She didn't respond. Just walked out into the Brooklyn night, leaving behind a king who'd finally learned he wasn't untouchable.